Hey guys, what's going on, man? Hey, this is Freedom Johnson, man. Thank you guys for even watching this video. Lately I've kind of had something on my mind. I'm working in my real estate business and trying to get it away from hustle and into business. So I've been reaching out to some mentors, people who are really great business minds, people who are in the real estate world as well, who run their business like a business. And I know that there are people like myself who are looking to get out of that hustle into that business set, but don't know what to do. So I thought I'd just kind of share the process with you guys, but also relate to where we all are, which is in that hustle mentality. So before I even dive in on the business side, I wanted to kind of talk about what does it typically look like on a day-to-day for someone who is like a one-man show or a one-woman show in their business. So I'm going to kind of be looking down to kind of talk about these things because I'm using this as my journal, but also to document the process. But the other side is also I want to give you guys actual tips that I'm picking up as I learn them. So you guys are getting this live as this new information comes in to me, right? So as a hustler or independent contractor, I'm typically a one-man show and I'm doing everything, right? So this is what my business currently looks like. I'm the guy making up the follow-up, but sometimes life gets in the way. I can't do the follow-up. I'm in charge of making the appointments. I write up the contracts. I send the contract to the title company. I reach out to the title company to make sure they reach out to the seller. I'm the point of contact for the seller after I get it under contract. I'm the point of contact for the buyer whenever we market it. I'm in charge of marketing it to buyers. I'm in charge of going to all the Facebook groups, the emails, and the text blasting to send that out to those buyers. I'm in charge of networking with buyers. I'm the guy in charge of, like I said before, doing the text blast, the Facebook, and the email. I'm in charge of negotiating the accepted offers from the sellers and from the buyers. I'm the guy in charge of making sure that the process runs smoothly. If any issues pop up on title, I'm the guy working those things out myself. So I'm basically an independent contractor. But the bad side of that is, let's say that process takes 30 days, right? And I'm handling that whole process myself. Well, who's handling my marketing in the middle of that process? Nobody, right? So what happens is after I get that check, I'm starting all the way back over to zero. So it's like you get that train rolling and then it stops, and then you got to get that train rolling again. And real estate is a momentum game and a numbers game. So you have to be consistent. Well, with some of the people that I have on my team, I haven't positioned them or empowered them to take over some of these things. So I end up doing these things myself. And what happens is I get overwhelmed and I get anxiety and I get frustrated. And then it's hard for me to get that momentum back. I'm the guy that's on the phone sometimes talking with potential leads. I'm the guy that's following up. And it's just a train wreck. So something that I've been learning is how to get this from hustle to business. And these are new ideas, new thoughts that I've never heard of. But as I'm listening to them, to business guys, I see how important they are. So I kind of want to run down real quick. Let's just imagine if we were running this like a business, right? Let's imagine that our marketing was going out weekly and people were answering the phone calls and people were actually dealing with the sellers and negotiating the price. Somebody else was writing up the contract. Someone else was sending out the marketing. Someone else was locking the houses up. Someone else was sending the marketing out to the buyers automatically. Someone else would do the showing for the house. Someone would sell the property without me even doing the paperwork. Someone else would go send the property to the title company and handle all the title issues. They would qualify buyers. They would add new buyers to the mailer list. And all I would be doing is just sitting back looking like over the business and just looking at the check coming. Imagine that, right? So the reason why that would be important is because the marketing would never stop, because people would be in positions to only do the things that you were typically doing yourself, that I'm typically doing myself, right? So one of the things that I've been coming across and changing this from a hustle to a business is, first of all, breaking my business down into 6 categories. And they say 4. Most people will tell you 4. I'm going to say 6 for 2 different reasons. For number 1, because I think if you really break up the business, there are some things that a business guy really needs to be in charge of, which is education and networking. So that's why I'm going to add those 2. And just for and the second reason is so that if you can categorize this business, it looks a whole lot easier to manage. So this is things that mentors are teaching me and business guys are teaching me. So these are the 6 categories that the business needs to have. One of them is marketing, and that's where you're getting your data from, and how are you sending your language of, hey, we buy houses or we help sell houses. How are you sending that to them? That's the data. And how are you relating to them, and your marketing, RVM, direct mail, things like that. That's marketing. Acquisitions, which is what happens when you actually get the property under contract. Administrative, which is all the transactional part. Dispositions, what happens when you sell that property. Accounting, making sure your numbers are right. And then networking and education. So if I think I said 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm sorry, I said 6, but it's actually 7. It's actually 7. All right, so you got your marketing, acquisitions, dispositions, accounting, networking, and education. Okay, so as a business person, networking and education is something that I and we need to be really taking over, because the smarter we are, then the better we know how to empower our team. And then the networking as well, going to masterminds and things like that. You can have people on your team doing that as well. But as far as the mind of the business, you got to be networking so you can know how to take it to the next level, something that I need to be doing better as well. Okay. So here's a quick how-to, and being personal on my current business. There's something called KPIs, key performance indicators. And what that does is that tells you how much you're spending on your leads, right? How many leads are you getting in? What is the cost for those leads? How many of those leads have turned to appointments? How many of those appointments have turned to contracts? How many of those contracts turned to checks? Now, this is a huge thought for me. Honestly, it overwhelmed me. It took me 2 days just to even wrap my head around having a conversation with myself that I need to have my KPIs in order. And as I'm looking at these things now, I never had KPIs. I never knew where my leads were coming from. There was no consistency to it. So we're putting KPIs in right now live as we speak, guys. So I'm going to give you guys a quick indicator on what's a KPI and how you can track your KPIs. First of all, how much are you paying for the leads, right? So an example for that is, where are you getting your leads from? How much did it cost you to obtain that data? Okay. And then the second part of that is, out of all of those leads, how many of those actually turn to contacts? And then after that, it's actually, I'm trying to remember, after that, it's actually how many point of contacts actually turn to appointments? How many appointments turned to contracts that you got? And that's a quick KPI. And I'm sure the better I get at this, I'll be able to articulate it even better. But someone told me to look at my marketing costs for the past 6 months. And this was overwhelming for me because I was just doing everything. I was doing cold calling, RVM, a little bit of direct mail. I was like, man, we're doing it all. We didn't know a number. As I wrote this thing down, the first thing I saw was like, I need to stop doing direct mail because I'm not spending enough time working on the data. I'm just doing it sporadically. So right now, my marketing, it was $2,000. We just looked at it, and now it's $330. All right. So our marketing cost is $330. And now we look at how many leads did we get from that. We've got 2 leads right now this month from our marketing, which was cold calling. And from those 2 leads, we got 2 houses under contract. So those KPIs quickly tell me, from those 2 leads, we got 2 houses under contract. That's 100% conversion rate. I need to spend more time cold calling. Okay. So You need to think about what kind of lead was it, how much did the lead cost, and do we need to do more of it? Well, my KPI is telling me I clearly need to do more cold calling. All right. So the other side that I want to talk about is from hustle to business is we got to empower people in our company. Now, I have a VA, and I go up and down with VAs because I don't do the greatest job of educating those people and having weekly meetings. I had to fire 2 VAs because we had them working on data that we weren't even using. So I was empowering these people in the company, but I wasn't even using the data that they were using, that they were giving me. So obviously my KPI on that was 0% because I wasn't using the data and I wasn't following up. So we had to let those guys go. But we do have a virtual assistant now who is making calls for us. But to get out of independent contractor hustle to business guy, instead of you being the person with them making calls, you need to empower them and educate them on how to overcome, seller objections and empower them to follow up with people and things like that. But the thing that I'm working on right now is taking myself out of the business and actually working on the business and educating them better on what they need to say, how they need to say it, how many times they need to do it, and then having a weekly conference meetup with those guys. So I just want to tell you guys, man, running this thing from hustle to business is going to be a brand new mindset and something that I'm learning. I've got to be a new person. The person that I am right now will not get me to where I'm trying to go, right? So I just want to tell you that we're all going through that, especially if you're trying to grow a business. I happen to be in real estate. So I guess with all that being said, I don't want to spend too much time on you. I know this is about 12 minutes long. I'm going to try to wrap it up in 15 minutes, but I want to tell you guys that if you're running this like a hustle, you're not alone, because it's 2019 and I'm just looking at my business and like, man, I've been grinding my way into this business, but I haven't had anything automated and set up like a real business guy so that I can jump out of the business and watch it still run like a machine. So in order for me to get to do that, I have to start focusing on key performance indicators. I have to start empowering people, and I have to give people actually more responsibility in the business, or I'll be an independent contractor just like everyone else. And I'm sure you guys don't want to be like that. I don't want to be like that forever as well. So even if you're making money, which is great because we do make great checks from this business, but what happens if you die today or you break your leg and you stop working? Is your business still running like a machine? If you are an independent contractor, the answer is no. So if I break my leg today, my business is done. But I don't want that to happen, right? So I have to start getting defined roles for virtual assistants and my team members, educating them, showing them how I do the data, how I do the marketing, give them a video, give them a script, give them some instructions, and have them start do that weekly themselves where I don't have to work on that. So I just wanted to kind of share it with people. I know if you're on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, internet, and you see people who have all these great big checks, I guarantee you it's not because they're doing everything themselves. They have a team behind them and they're running this business like a machine. So I just want to tell you guys, we can do that too, okay? Because 2018 was a great year for me, but I had no idea where the leads were coming from. And we were making money and we did a program and we had meetups and momentum was going and I was getting deals because of my credibility out in business. But when I paused in 2019 and said, man, let me really look and see why my business was the way it was in 2018, I had no idea where the success was coming from. So here we are basically starting over, looking at this thing like, what do we need to do in order to get it like a machine? So we have to start thinking, how do we empower people in our company so that we stop working inside of the company and start working on it? So remember, if you're an independent contractor, you're doing all these things by yourself. If you get hurt, the business is done. In order to avoid that, we have to do what Hobby Lobby does, what Walmart does, what Amazon does. There are people in positions to still get tasks done. So when I bring up those 7 things that we need to be focusing on: marketing, acquisitions, administration, disposition, and accounting, those first 5 things, those are things that we could have people be in charge of. networking and education. You can outsource some networking as well. I preferably don't plan on it because networking and education is something that I'm like the brain of the business, so I can build that up. So I just want to share with you guys like the real story of what it looks like coming from hustle to business. And I'm going to be working on these things together. So you guys have a great day. I'll check you soon. All right, peace.